Alright, so now let us continue. So we will continue with the third subtopic under chapter 12, which is neurons and synapse. So here comes two new words that you need to know. You need to understand what are them. Okay, so this picture actually showing you the neurons. So what is actually neurons? If we use analogy to describe, let's say you have muscle, correct? So muscle is made out of muscle cell. Then we also have maybe skin is made out of epithelial cell. Correct? So in this case, just now we talked about nerve. So in the nervous system, there is a lot of nerve, and nerve is made out of a lot of nerve cell. So this nerve cell we call as neuron. Understand? So there will be a lot of neurons in your nervous system. Okay, so this is the picture showing you the neurons. Now, we are going to look at the structure of neuron. So this is the structure of neuron, and due to regional practice, some place or some textbook or some reference book they might use this kind of neuron without E, but we follow the textbook. So inside your textbook there is E, so you better write the one end with E lah, boleh? Okay, now let us look at this structure similar to the heart that you have studied in chapter 10, right? So you need to remember the name and then know how to label them. So what are the most important one is this one, the dendrite. You must remember this is the first one. Second is the soma, or what we call as cell body. Cell body also can, soma also can. And we also have axon. This one is the third thing that you need to know. And then this one, the little thing, you can see there is one little bulge here. Kan, ada tengok satu macam bulatan yang besar sikit lah dekat hujung-hujung ni, is known as synaptic knot. Okay, the fourth thing that you need to know. Then you have this fifth one, the myelin sheath. It's a layer of thing cover the axon, but later we are going to see one by one lah. And also this knot of Van Vel. So these six things you must remember, boleh? So dendrite, soma or cell body, then you have axon, you have synaptic knot, you have myelin sheath, and knot of Van Vels. Boleh? Okay. So now this is another diagram showing you another kind of drawing for neuron. So this is neuron. Once again, the name is neuron. So what are the things that you need to remember? Dendrite. The branching out, this one, the branching out of the cell body is known as dendrite. Then second, you have cell body or soma. What is the third one? The third one is the axon. Axon is like the badan lah, the body. Okay, so this one is the third one. Then you have the fourth one is known as the synaptic knot. Here it doesn't label lah. Synaptic knot is the little bulging, the bulatan yang besar sikit dekat hujung-hujung tu is known as synaptic knot. You need to remember the name first so that we can proceed. So this is the fourth one that you need to remember. And then myelin sheath, the fifth one. Also the knot of Van Vel, the sixth one. Boleh? Okay, yang lain you cakap nucleus penting kan? Of course you need to understand also lah. But nucleus you have studied, right? How about the axon terminal? So this is the axon, right? So axon terminal just simply means it is at the end of the axon. So that's why it known as axon terminal. Boleh? Swan cell, this one we have not touched it yet. So I won't mention first. Then let us look at the function of its structure first. Boleh? Okay, now dendrite. Dendrite is this one. The one you see, first you need to identify where is your cell body. Okay, if this is the cell body or what we call as soma, then the dendrite will be the branching out of cell body. Understand? You can see this cell body, it has a lot of this like branching out, macam pokok kan, macam pucuk pokok tu. So you can see a lot of branching out. So this is what we call as dendrite. Boleh? So what is the function of dendrite? Receive nerve impulse from other neuron. Okay. Send them to cell body. Means that you need to remember this is cell body, right? So I made it bigger. So there is a lot of nerve impulse coming. So dendrite is the place where it receives the nerve impulse. Boleh? So first, remember dendrite receive nerve impulse. Now cell body or how it calls as soma. Okay, it consists of nucleus. So this one is actually the nucleus, correct? This one label ada sikit salah lah rasanya. This one is not the cell body. This one is the nucleus, and this one is the cell body. Okay, so what happened here? It consists of nucleus, integrate signals, and coordinates metabolic activities. But this one we seldom ask in exam, so you just read through. Okay. Okay, now axon. Axon is this part. If you can see, it's like the body. You boleh bayangkan this is your head, this is your hair, correct? Then this is your badan lah. This one is the whole badan. Boleh? Badan you. So axon is the badan, which is the body. This one, the straight line here, which until the end of here. This one is the axon. It's the elongated branch of the body cell. Body cell pula. Cell body salah cell body This is cell body Oh sorry, this one label salah kan, nucleus. This one is cell body. So you need to write cell body If you write body cell, salah. Boleh? So it's the elongated branch of the cell body. It carry the nerve impulses out of the cell body to the other neurons or effectors. So here I told you already, this little bulging, some books will use synapse, some books will use synaptic node, but we follow the textbook. Textbook will use the synaptic node. It sends the signal to muscle cells, gland cells, or other neuron dendrite. So here, before we go in, so let me draw one thing for the clearer picture. So here, you have a lot of like this. Okay, let's say this is your cell body, you have this branching, right? So this is the cell body, okay? Then you have an elongated axon, correct? Then you have the terminal like this. Understand? So I told you already, the nerve impulses is going to receive at the dendrite. Then this is the cell body, correct? So the cell body, dendrite receive nerve impulse. Then cell body will integrate the nerve impulse. Then what happened to the nerve impulse? It going down lah. Okay, so this is the axon. So pass down the nerve impulse from cell body to axon terminal. Faham? And then here you have the synaptic node. So this synaptic node is going to attach to either dendrite or muscle. Let's say you have your muscle, so maybe it will attach to this. Understand? This is your muscle, okay, which is your effector. So here you see, do you see that the axon, you see the nerve impulses, the style pass from the dendrite going to here, go into the cell body, be integrate, then pass down. Keep on going to pass down until the synaptic node, and synaptic node, the nerve impulses is going to pass to your effector, so your muscle can do something. Understand? So this is the main functions of the four structure that I mentioned just now. Okay, so now let us continue to look at the two structures, which is the myelin sheath and also the knot of Ranvier that I didn't explain just now. So myelin sheath is an insulating membrane that coats the axon. So just now I already told you, axon you can bayangkan dia sebagai badan. You can say it's the body. So here, along the body, there will be some part covered by the what you call as myelin sheath. You can actually think that it is acting like a fence. Okay, you know our body, right? Our body is being protected by the fats. Sama juga dekat sini, you ada badan, so lemak tu dia akan macam protect you punya badan lah. Boleh? So it's an insulating membrane. What does it insulate? It insulates the electrical impulses. Because your nerve impulse is going to transmit in terms of electricity, it's a electrical impulses. Understand? So it's insulate electrical impulses, but you might wonder kenapa? Okay, the nerve impulses is transmitted in terms of like in the form of electric. Kenapa dia insulate pula? Kalau dia insulate bukan dia tak boleh lalu ke? So we are going to see kenapa. Okay, nanti So now first function of the myelin sheath is protects neuron from injury. It's just like the fats protecting the body. Understand? A layer of fats lah. Tapi dekat sini is an insulating membrane that keeps the axon. Then it functions as an insulator for electrical impulses, which I mentioned to you just now. It insulates the electrical impulses. But why? We are going to see how. Supposedly it should not insulate the electrical impulse kan, sebab the nerve impulses wants to go down. If you insulate, you macam block it. Then how? So we are going to see the reason behind. Then it provides the nutrients to the axon. So here you go the terms knot of Ranvier. Okay, so what is actually knot of Ranvier? Dekat sini you boleh nampak along the body, which is along the axon, there is a lot of this myelin sheath. But you can also see there is some gap here, correct? Some gap here that is not covered by the myelin sheath. You see that? This, the one that I circle here, is the part that did not cover by myelin sheath. So this gap or this part that did not cover by myelin sheath will be known as knot of Ranvier. Understand? So now certain neurons have parts that are not insulated by the myelin sheath at regular gaps. So this gap is also known as knot of Ranvier. Remember, Ranvier, this word, the R need to be capital letter. Okay? So the knot of Ranvier helps to accelerate the flow of nerve impulse by allowing the nerve impulse to jump from one knot to another. Now I told you, myelin sheath insulate the electrical impulse. So what will happen here is that when, let me use some color else. Okay, now when your nerve impulses go in like this, until here it has a myelin sheath. So maksudnya dekat sini dia tak boleh lalu, correct? So what will happen? It will jump from one knot of Ranvier jumps to here. Okay, later I should use different color so you can see. Okay, let's say the white color is your nerve impulse. It's in terms of electrical. So until here, this myelin sheath disabled because it's insulated, right? The nerve impulses cannot pass through. What happened? It jumps from here to the knot of Ranvier because this part does not cover with the myelin sheath. So dia boleh pass through lah. And sampai sini pula. Sini tak boleh lalu, correct? Because the myelin sheath insulator, you cannot pass through. So what happened? It jumps again. Jumps from this, the electrical impulse can jump from this knot of Ranvier to another knot of Ranvier. Then until here, once again, they are being protected or covered by the myelin sheath. So tak boleh lalu, dia lompat sekali lagi. So you can see when the electrical impulses is transmitted down the axon, it's not transmitted like dia jalan. It's transmitted through the way of jumping like this, jump from one knot to another. So what is the benefit of doing so? It accelerates the flow of nerve impulses. Okay, so that we can carry out very rapid response. Understand? It's like it speed out the transmission of nerve impulses. So you need to take notes of this. Accelerate the flow of nerve impulses. Okay, allowing the nerve impulses to jump from one knot to another knot. So it speed out the process. So sometimes in emergency cases, you will need to carry out rapid response. Do you know rapid response? This one, the rapid response. Maksudnya, you need to kamu kena ada macam respon yang cepat, okay? Towards the maybe a dangerous stimuli. Maybe you see a tiger, right? You need to run. So what will happen if your nerve impulses? Kalau you nampak satu tiger, saya tak pandai lukis lah, tapi you tengok je. Apalah ini tiger lah. Okay, when you see this tiger, okay, of course you need to run, right? You need to quickly run away from there, or else you're going to be eaten. So if your nerve impulses dia macam lambat-lambat baru sampai you punya kaki, what will happen? Then you tend to be dangerous lah, betul? So that's why there is some adaptation here. The knot of Ranvier enables the faster transmission of nerve impulses along the axon. So we have done the six structures and the functions of the neuron. So we're going to look at the type of neurons. So all of these are type of neurons. So we have three types of neuron. So we have first sensory neuron, or in other books you can also see they coin this as afferent neuron. Okay, so this is the second one, is the interneuron, or what we call as relay neuron. Both can be used. And you can see the motor neuron, or sometimes they call as efferent neuron. Both can be used. So all of these are the three types of neuron that we're going to study. But for each of them, we can use either one of the name for each of them. So how do you remember? First, you remember A, comes after, X comes before E. So kalau efferent, it must, you know right, is first you have the sensory first, which is the receptor, then go your brain, then go your effector. So this is actually the sensory is actually the receptor lah. Okay, so you remember A come first, so A, then this one is E. Okay, efferent neuron. Then in between, right? In between, this one is in between, so we use the word inter. Okay, so here you have efferent neuron, interneuron, efferent neuron. Ataupun sensory neuron. When you see the word sensory, you know right, it sends something. So this supposedly to be at the sensory receptor lah. Okay, ataupun dekat stimuli sana. Relay is like they combine, they receive and sort the information. So it's relay neuron. After that, motor neuron. When you do something, you use motor, right? To do something. So when you want to do something, it's motor. Then motor should be the one at the effector. Because effector is going to do something, right? It's just like the motor, like you use motor to do something. Understand? This is the structure you need to remember. How are you going to differentiate? You look at the cell body. Okay? So for this one, the sensory neuron or the efferent neuron, you can see the cell body located at the middle of the neuron. Understand? This one, the cell body is very big, but then you don't really see the myelin sheath. And this one is the one that we use, the example that we use just now. You see the cell body is at the end of the neuron. Okay? So once again, this one you see don't have myelin sheath, do not have myelin sheath. But this is just generally, there might be some interneurons that have myelin sheath. So this one is just like based on picture, how are you going to differentiate? Okay. Then for sensory neuron, or what we call as the efferent neuron, the cell body at middle of neuron. And for this one, the efferent neuron, the cell body is at the end of neuron. So this is how you are going to differentiate the three different type of neuron. Now we're going to see what are the use, okay, for these three type of neuron. Once again, you can see there is no myelin sheath. It's interneuron or relay neuron. Then if it is at the middle, what is it? Just now I have mentioned, it is the sensory neuron, or what we call as the efferent neuron. Then this one at the end, correct? So at the end, it will be the efferent neuron. So here, what is the use of sensory neuron? Once again, it's located at the middle. Kalau middle is the sensory neuron or efferent neuron. So, sensory neuron function carry nerve impulses from the sensory organ, which is the receptor to central nervous system. Boleh? It's just simple as like this. Receptor is the neuron at the receptor, which carry the nerve impulse from the receptor to the CNS. Now, relay neuron, or in another word, we say interneuron. So, what is the function? Sama je, Okay, it found in the central nervous system. Still remember what is the central nervous system? Consists of brain and also your spinal cord. So it connects the sensory neuron, to the motor neuron. Dia macam orang tengah lah. You boleh bayangkan dia sebagai orang tengah. Boleh? Sini you ada efferent neuron. So after that goes to interneuron, then goes to efferent neuron. Understand? Or in other words, sensory first, then go relay neuron, then go, this one is the motor neuron. Boleh? So dia macam orang tengah, connects the sensory neuron to the motor neuron. Or in other words, you can say it sends nerve impulses from the sensory neuron to the central nervous system. So after the central nervous system have integrate or translate the nerve impulse, it's going to transmit the nerve impulse from the central nervous system to the motor neuron. Understand? So this is not relay neuron. Sorry, salah pula notes ni. this is efferent neuron or motor neuron. Boleh? So yeah, I'm going to correct this letter. I'm sorry for the mistake. Okay, so now you have a cell body here, then you have axon. This is the one that I draw. Which, okay, now you actually have an interneuron here, correct? You have a interneuron. So this is your interneuron, let's say. So it's going to transmit the nerve impulses. Let's say this color is the nerve impulse. So the nerve impulse from the interneuron transmitted to the dendrite. So the dendrite receive the nerve impulses. So this part, the cell body integrate, correct? Integrate the nerve impulse. Then pass down until here there is a synaptic node. So until here, the synaptic node, the nerve impulses is going to your muscle. So once your muscle, which is the effector, correct, receive the nerve impulses, it's going to do respond. So the function of motor neuron or efferent neuron here, it receives nerve impulse from relay neuron, which is the interneuron, and send nerve impulses to the effectors, usually muscles or glands. Boleh? So here, just now we already mentioned about this, right? So here, just now we talked about stimuli is detected by receptor. So this receptor send nerve impulses, right, through what is the neuron that help to send the nerve impulses from receptor to integration center, which is the sensory or the afferent neuron. Boleh? Then inside here there is a lot of interneuron or relay neuron. Understand? Then here we will have the nerve impulses to the effector. So here we will have a lot of efferent neuron. Okay? Sorry, I should write here. So here we will have a lot of efferent neuron or motor neuron. Is it okay? So here receptor send the nerve impulses through this neuron to the brain or spinal cord, the integration center. So inside here there is a lot of interneuron and relay neuron that connects the afferent neuron to the efferent neuron. So after that, these nerve impulses come here, right? It goes to here, then goes to here, then goes efferent neuron and motor neuron. Lastly to the effector, they carry out response. Faham? So now going back here, just now you can see actually there is a grey matter and a white matter, right? A lot of white matter. So the butterfly is actually grey in color and the outside of the butterfly is white color. There is a reason why. Okay? It's because the white one is made out of axons. White color is due to the myelin sheath. Still remember what is myelin sheath? You have the axons, right? This is your, what we call as like something like body, right? This one is your axon. So the myelin sheath is the insulating membrane that covers the axon like this. So actually there, the myelin sheath is actually white in color. It looks white. So that's why you see here, you cannot see in directly from the diagram, but here actually there is a lot of, sorry, okay? So there is actually a lot of axon here. How about this part is grey? It's because it made out of cell body. So you know cell body there is no myelin sheath, right? So it is grey in color. Now last we look at another word. Okay, so now let us look at synapse. So just now the topic for 12.3 is actually neurons and synapse. So you already study about neurons, you study about the type and structure and the functions. So now we're going to look at what is synapse. So just now when we talk about the structure of neuron, you have known that at this part is the axon terminal, correct? At the axon terminal, at the very end of the axon terminal, you can see some swollen big swollen small circle like this, bulatan yang dekat hujung-hujung axon terminal tu, you akan nampak dia macam besar sikit punya kan. So this is what we call as synaptic node. So if you enlarge it, if you put under the electron microscope, you akan nampak lah benda-benda macam ni. Because just now we already know, afferent neuron is going to pass the nerve impulses to interneuron. And the interneuron pula is going to pass the nerve impulses to the efferent neuron. Okay? So, how are they going to pass from one to another? Correct? So, which is through the synapse. Through the synapse. So, here, in this picture, you can see this is actually a synaptic node. So, this one might be the dendrite. You still remember dendrite? Dendrite is the part of the neuron where it receives the nerve impulse, right? So this one, they transmit the nerve impulse like this. Understand? So if you look at the electron microscopic diagram, it will be like this. So you see, we will call this is actually what we call as the synaptic node lah. But if you enlarge it, we will usually call the one that are going to send the nerve impulse as the presynaptic neuron. The one that receive will call as postsynaptic. Boleh? This one. The one that send or transmit nerve impulse. This one is the one that receive. And usually the one receive nerve impulses will be the dendrite. Did you see? This is the axon terminal, correct? Axon terminal. And then here, the green one is the dendrite. So the dendrite of one neuron is going to receive the nerve impulses from another neuron. So this neuron pass the nerve impulses at axon terminal. Understand? This is another example. So here I already told you this is the presynaptic. The one that is sending presynaptic is the one that send nerve impulses. If this one is the postsynaptic, is the one that receive the nerve impulses. Boleh? Kalau you nampak dia kalau nampak pre, it send nerve impulses. Kalau nampak post, it receive the nerve impulses. Boleh? So you see here, this presynaptic cell transmit the nerve impulses, and then here is the synapse. It transmit the nerve impulses to the dendrite of the postsynaptic cell. Boleh? So it's the same thing. I want to keep on repeating so that you can remember. Presynaptic cell is the one that transmit or receive the nerve, is transmit the nerve impulses or send the nerve impulses. So you see the signal direction. The nerve impulses go like here. Here it happens the synapse. Did you see? This one is the axon terminal and this one is the dendrite, because I already told you dendrite is the one that receive the nerve impulses. Okay? Then this process will keep on repeating lah. Here is the axon terminal, right? Later it's going to connect. It's going to connect maybe with the cell body. Understand? Of another neuron. Then this part is then the dendrite. Dendrite. Then this is the axon terminal. So it's going to be keep on repeating. Understand? So now synapse is the narrow gap that separates the synaptic node from the neuron dendrites. So actually you see, just now when I enlarge, you can also see a gap, correct? You will see a small gap here. They are not directly being touched to each other. You can see the small gap here, correct? This is the gap. It's not like they are touched together. No, there is a small gap. So this little small gap here, we will call them as synapse, okay? Narrow gap that separates synaptic node and the neuron dendrite. Understand? Now, structure and function of synapse. So information is sent along the neuron through the electrical signals known as nerve impulses. So very important is when the information is passed out, it is in the electrical form. Just like I told you, right? Since it is electrical, so that is why the myelin sheath is insulator. Sheath, electric insulator. So that, still remember, so that when you have the axon, you have a lot of myelin sheath. Then this is the node of rainbow. So the nerve impulses in terms of like electric one, it can jump from one node of rainbow to another node. Still remember, that is because the information is sent in the terms or in the form of electrical signals. So now, impulse, they are positively charged waves that fall along the axon to the synaptic node. This one we have talked about just now. And there is a narrow gate called synapse, also talked about just now, right? That separates the synaptic node from the neuron dendrite. So electrical signals that carry information must be transferred across the synapse so that it can reach another neuron. So in other words, this paragraph just want to tell you, the nerve impulses must be able to transmit through the presynaptic membrane to the postsynaptic membrane so that it can keep on flowing. Understand? Now, it allows nerve impulse to travel in one direction and control the type of impulse to pass through them. So here, so far I told you the nerve impulses is going to be transmitted in electrical, correct? So, let's say I will use the symbol electrical here, electrical until the synapse. It cannot go through because synapse there is a gap, correct? This synapse is a gap. So what will happen here? Let's read together. Impulses are transmitted chemically across the synapse. So for this thunder, we said electrical, correct? Once it reaches the synapse, it cannot pass through. So it needs to become chemical. So the chemical substance involved are neurotransmitter. They are kept in the synaptic vesicles. They are found, neurotransmitter, they are kept in the synaptic vesicles. They are found at the end of synaptic node. So example of neurotransmitter are this one later we are going to see. I have another slide for this. Now, which is now you have this synaptic node. It looks like this. So here you can also draw with me. This is the pre-synaptic membrane. And then you have a lot of this vesicle. Okay, now once I do not have enough pen color. So now, if your nerve impulses reach here, you need to know that inside the little dot. So actually, this pink color thing is what we call as vesicle. Dia macam bag lah. You can imagine that as bag. So inside your bag, there is a lot of what we call this as neurotransmitter. Understand? So these nerve impulses, once it reach the presynaptic membrane or the synaptic node, so the vesicles will release the neurotransmitter. Okay, so vesicle will release the neurotransmitter, and after that, the one that fuse with the vesicle can fuse with the membrane. So the neurotransmitter can be released into the synapse. Understand? And then you will have another membrane here. So this is the what you call as the postsynaptic, correct? And this part is what we call as synapse or synaptic cleft. It's the same thing. Understand? So here, so far at this part, at this particular part, it is in electrical. The nerve impulses is in electrical. Then here is going to be in chemical. So until it reach here, this part pula, it becomes back to electrical. Understand? So it's like electrical, then go chemicals, then go electrical again. Then continue. This process keeps on continuing. Now we read the explanation first. So the process of transmitting impulse through the synapse is slow, and it is occurs chemically because this is the one that I draw just now. At the synaptic node, this is the synaptic node. There is a lot of vesicles. Okay, macam bag lah yang contain the chocolate here. The chocolate is actually the neurotransmitter. So you see, some of the vesicle, they can actually fuse with the membrane, the plasma membrane of the synaptic node. So once it fuse, right, dia macam buka, bag kamu buka. So how it happen? The content release lah. So what is the content here is the neurotransmitter. It's released into the synaptic cleft. And then this is the postsynaptic cell, correct? So the postsynaptic cell, they will have receptor. Do you see? This is the receptor. So the neurotransmitter, they will bind to the receptor. Okay? Then a new nervous impulse is generated and then can be transmitted again. Understand? So here, at first, the electrical signal will be changed to a chemical signal in the form of neurotransmitter. So what is the chemical thing here is the neurotransmitter. Then the chemical substance is converted again to an electrical signal on the membrane of the receiving neuron, which is here. Means here it is electric, here it is chemical, then here it becomes electric again. It contains mitochondria because it needs to have energy. Understand? This is the explanation given in your textbook. So first, when electrical impulses reach the synaptic node, correct? The synaptic vesicles are stimulated to release neurotransmitter. So these are the synaptic vesicles. So how they release the neurotransmitter? They fuse with the membrane. So when they fuse with the membrane, macam bag kamu buka. So apabila the vesicle buka, the neurotransmitter will be released into the synaptic cleft. Understand? So the neurotransmitter is going to bind to the receptor of the postsynaptic membrane of the receiving cell. So then, after it binds with this little receptor, it's going to generate or stimulate another nerve impulse. Boleh? So here, neurotransmitter diffuse through the synapse and combine with the receptor. So the binding of neurotransmitter is going to stimulate the initiation of the next impulse. So the nerve impulse can keep on flowing. Understand? So, okay. So here once again, although I have drawn again, let us draw together, okay? You can stop 1 minute at the diagram, then let us draw together. So first, you have the, what we call, the synaptic node, correct? So at this particular synaptic node, there is a lot of vesicle. Alright, so this is the vesicle. So you know that vesicle contains a lot of what? Contains a lot of neurotransmitter. It looks like this, the neurotransmitter. Okay, so some of the vesicle, they will actually fuse with the membrane, become like this. So once they fuse with the membrane, dia punya bag tu macam buka. So some of the neurotransmitter will be released into the into the synaptic cleft. So this part called as synaptic cleft. Okay, and then you will also have a presynaptic membrane of the following cell. So this is the synaptic node. This one should be the dendrite lah, correct? So inside the in the dendrite there is a lot of a lot of receptor, correct? So this neurotransmitter is going to bind with the receptor. So here it will stimulate initiation of nerve impulse. Boleh? So the nerve impulse will keep on flowing. So what is the importance of transmission of impulse across the synapse? What is the importance? Ensure nerve impulse transmitted in one direction only. Understand? Because this is synapse, right? The receptor only present at the postsynaptic membrane. So if it has become neurotransmitter, it cannot go back because sini kan tak ada sini tak ada receptor kan. So when the nerve impulses have reached here and then being released into the synaptic cleft, so the receptor only available at the postsynaptic membrane. That's why they can only go here because someone welcome them. But here, kalau you tengok sini, dia tak ada kan. Kalau dekat sini dia tak ada receptor, how are they going to go back if there is no ping 2 folder. Okay, so this is one. Next is the neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter can either be degraded here or it can be reused. Okay. So these are the example of neurotransmitter. You can try to remember one or two to answer the exam questions. Alright. So make sure you can choose the one that is easier to remember. Maybe acetylcholine, maybe dopamine. Maybe for those who play PUBG, no adrenaline. So no adrenaline is one of them. Okay. So we have these 4 famous examples. Okay. So we will stop here. And for 12.4, I think I will also outline it, but later. Okay.